Hello, good evening. Savage Juicebox asking for extra charts. I'll see if I have time at the end. If you want to guarantee that I look at a chart, ask me in advance. Yeah, my chickens. So, they have a really big run. The problem is I've got old ones, I've got oldies and new babies, and new babies, they're not getting on, they never do. And they don't all want to go, and it gets dark during this live, so I have to shut them up early. Otherwise, the fox, one Monday night, I lost 6 chickens. So I have to go out and persuade them to go to bed early on Monday nights. Otherwise, we could have a bit of a disaster. And yeah, they don't call them bird brain for nothing. So yeah, that was like a year ago. So yeah, that wasn't. So now we're a bit smarter. Okay, so we're going to start with Bitcoin. This is, it looks like an app. This is a daily chart of Bitcoin. And this summer range has been really frustrating. The only good thing I can tell you about this kind of price action is it is corrective. So all of these people who are really bearish and saying, that Bitcoin's going to 1800 and stuff, maybe it will. But I can tell you that this behavior, price action behavior, isn't saying that at the moment. It's saying sideways neutral consolidation above the 200-day moving average. And so, yeah, is it frustrating and easy to get chopped up and really awful, annoying? Yes, it is. But it will end at some point. I still feel, and especially when I look at this rally that we've had off the lows, I feel like we're due a retest of the lows. This doesn't look like the start of something yet. And so this, although it looks like, we keep saying, oh, is this declining wedge over? Maybe we're out of it. Maybe I should be drawing it like this. And no, there is the possibility that we still see one more dip lower, at least to retest 8,750, 8,800, and potentially the 200-day moving average, which is at the moment at 8,500. And I'm not ruling out a dirty dive. I'm not ruling out a dirty dive to 7,500. I don't want to see it. I feel like markets can correct in time instead of price. And so the longer that we go sideways without actually giving up anything in price is actually, kind of more bullish. So here we are, it's just sideways consolidation. We need to wait for a really nice base and a bottoming price action, and then I think we're going up again. And until then, I don't actually hold any Bitcoin at the moment. I think some of the altcoins and ETH are a lot better. And if we look at Bitcoin dominance, it's a really good example of why. I'm going to go to the monthly chart of Bitcoin dominance, or the weekly chart. Now here, you can see that we've done a perfect reversal from this high to low. We've done a perfect reversal at a 61.8 fib retrace level. When you do that, the 50% becomes your support, or a back test. So this was our 50% back test level. And if you lose that support, then you're likely to go to the 38.2. So I feel like in terms of Bitcoin dominance, we've got more downside, and we're headed down to 57.66 before I expect us to bottom. So that's a monthly view. Here on the weekly, you can see, we had a good, well, we tried to find support here, didn't we, at this support and resistance level, and it really is support and resistance when you look at it like this. And once we got underneath it, it really was resistance. So that's where I'm expecting. And here is, look, the weekly 200 moving average. So a further downside in Bitcoin dominance. So time to be looking at alts, even, or on the sidelines, and wait for a retest of 57.66 in this weekly 200 moving average. And then I think Bitcoin will be ready to go. And until then, the opportunities really have been in the alts. Even Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. No breakout in Ethereum today. We're still consolidating sideways under this 786 fib level. We haven't got a breakout. Above 246 would be the next leg up. A daily close above 246 is a bullish signal at this point for ETH dollar. And until then, you know, sideways consolidation. I think it's stronger than Bitcoin. I think ETH Bitcoin is outperforming. And so that's a really useful, also a really useful kind of altcoin indicator. When ETH outperforms Bitcoin, altcoins tend to have a bit of a good time. Short term, I'm going to say on the daily short term, we've stalled a little bit at this equal measured move level. And potentially we could reverse here. But for now, you know, we've stalled 5 days ago. And instead we've gone sideways in a very shallow range. No reversal really. This is bullish consolidation. If you looked at this without the rest of the chart and you'd say which way next, you would look at this and say, gosh, big rally, sideways consolidation, it's probably going to continue higher. It's a bullish flag. And so back above this 0.02629, I'm looking for it to continue higher. I think if this level breaks down, maybe we'll see a bigger correction. But for now, you know, it's still, for me, sideways consolidation and an uptrend, and really not giving back any ground in ETH against Bitcoin. Okay, I'm going to carry on. We're going, if you're not sure, we're going in order of the coins in the title. So that means that we're going to look at ADA next. What a thing of joy ADA has been. Now, I'm going to start on the weekly chart in ADA, because there's a couple of ways I'm looking at this for levels that we go from level to level in ADA. I've got my fibs from the high in April 2019 to this low, short-term fibs, and also for projections. So within, let's go down to a daily, in fact it's better. So for projections, I'm looking at this pullback here, and I'm looking at the fib projections from that. So you can see that they're working. If I put on this high to low, we paused at the 1.618 and then we carried on higher. Here, it was a bit messy, but we've paused at the 2.618, and now it looks like, as long as we make a new high, we're going to carry on higher. We've got the highest close. The highest close was previously around 1377. So looking good. This is a 61.8 level. So the next place we all line up is this 886 up here at 1750. So I'm going to say in ADA Bitcoin, as long as we hold above 1348, we should look to 1750 next. Okay. I'll try at the end, Captain Crypto. We'll see if I've got time at the end. We'll do that. So yeah, ADA's looking good. Now, what happens if we don't make a new high? If we come back here, then what we might see, and sometimes you do see at big levels, especially in a wave 4, is you'll wash back and forward and you'll make a big triangle or a wedge consolidation. And this is when people get really chopped up. So, you know, we could see this here. We could see a bit of an ABC and then we carry on. Or we could see, because I think this is a wave 4 position, we could see 5 waves before we do that. So it is important that we carry on higher from here and make a new high. And if we don't, that's what I would be expecting. There's no way to tell except to watch the price action. For me, one of the reasons that I really like high Kanashi candles is they smooth everything out. So as long as they stay green, for me, we're still going up and I'm going to stay long. If I get a red candle, I usually put a stop underneath and see if it reverses or not. So looking in good in ADA, but we've gotten a little bit toppy the last few hours or so. You can see hopefully just a consolidation and we carry on higher. And that's what I'm looking for. 1750 then is our next upside target. Now if we go back to this daily, 1750 gets us to a big 886 fib level and these previous highs. It's not actually my final target. I think that this bigger 236 fib from the all-time highs to the all-time lows is going to be more important. And so that's my first target, 1750, but then 2377. And then if we can get above 2377, we properly reversed in ADA. But in between there, you know, this level, if we look at Binance, in fact, let's look at it on a weekly. and zoom in, you can see that this level where our 886 first target is also a pretty tough support and resistance level here. Opening high range, first low here, the highs in April last year, and so 1750 might be quite tough to get through first time. So that's the first place I'd be looking for a bigger pullback, if you like. Okay, ADA. Obviously, if ADA Bitcoin is doing this, then ADA dollar's in really great shape as well. If you're trading ADA US Tether or dollar, we'll take a quick look. In fact, we'll take a quick look at Tether. Because next upside target, I'm a bit, I don't really like these fib levels, to be honest, because I like to see a reaction at the 236 fib, and it tells me that I've drawn them correctly. And in this case, I really haven't got it. Now, potentially, let's see how these behave, because yeah, potentially 1311 is where we pause, and then 0.1311 and then 0.1620 next upside target if we can close above 0.1311. So here, this is the level then obviously that we're looking at, 0.1311. We'll just use extensions for now and go like that, but still very nice uptrend in ADA. A double top though doesn't mean that we've stopped going up, but it does mean, well, it does mean we stopped going up, but it doesn't mean we're going down. It just means that we could be just doing a bit more back and fill before we continue. So not necessarily a reversal until we kind of break the low in the middle. Now in Ripple, this is Ripple dollar we'll start with, because we really do have a bit of a major resistance going on in Ripple dollar that's holding us up at the moment. Okay, if we take the highs from June last year to the lows that we made in March of this year, then the big 236 fib level that we kind of went through it, but it was trouble, is at 0.2205. So actually no, it's not, it should be here. Hold on, there we go. It's at 0.2066. Now, the first time we came up to it, it was a big deal. It knocked us back for a month, okay? And, yeah, we had a look the other side of it, but it's still been a really bloody tricky level, 0.2066. And this time, here we are again, and it's at the 200-day moving average as well, which has been the ultimate decider, and we have not been able to get above it basically since February. So this now becomes combined with a horizontal level and the 200-day moving average, really, really tough resistance. This has been the case now for what, 5 days? We have not collapsed. We are just consolidating sideways. So I don't know which way we're going to break out of this range. I feel like it should be to the upside, because this price action that we've been doing since we hit the level is not a bearish reversal. It's just sideways. So it's little ABCs. We've done a little ABC down, ABC up, and now we're in our C leg, our hopefully final leg. Sometimes they go to E, and so if that's the case here, then a retest of this low at 0.1947, that would be where we're 61.8 of the first leg. That would be very common for a correction to find support here on this 4-hour chart. And if we don't, and we dip a little bit lower, we'll dip down to 0.1873, which is the 4-hour 200 moving average, which should be also, if we look at the daily, no, not a help fill. So one of those two prices, I think, is where we should find support in Ripple. And I have to say, I think it's more likely and would be much more bullish if it was the higher one. So watch for a retest of 0.1947 to hold, and if it does, I think that that's a pretty good place to put your toe in the water and buy a little Ripple. And if not, watch for a big bounce from 0.1873, and that would say ABC correction complete and on our way high again. But long term, we're really not going to be in an uptrend until we get above 0.2066 and this 200-day moving average. So be very careful buying it, buying pullbacks, because you're buying it to have another go at really strong resistance. The more conservative way to trade it would be to get above this resistance and then buy the very first pullback. That would be the more conservative way. On any other coin, I would say that would be fine. Sometimes though, in Ripple, it will just go. So make sure, you know, this is why you buy it ahead, just anticipating a breakout. Or either that, or make sure you have an alarm. I'm going to put an alarm there. So that's Ripple dollar, why we're stuck here. Big fib level, big 200 moving average. If we look at Ripple Bitcoin, this is Ripple Bitcoin on Binance. Now I'm going to go to the weekly because we really don't have the same. We don't have the same fib issues. We have been in a pretty nasty downtrend though with Bitcoin and underperforming Bitcoin. Are there any levels here? Just so funny how the opening day range sometimes in these coins can be. So here at Binance, for example, this was the opening day low where we started. In fact, the open forever, and look, and that's the resistance level. It just sometimes happens like that. I don't know. Now let's see if there's any fib levels. Okay, let's go down to the daily. So if we take the most recent swing lower since the big correction, I suppose if we use this one from this high, then we're at the 38.2 fib. So that'll count as one strike for a resistance as well as a horizontal level. If we go from this high, it's the 236 fib level, so that's another strike, unfortunately, for resistance being here that we need to get above, and it's at 2247. So 2247 is the level to beat, and if we do get above it, then I'll move this up. 2347 might be a little bit of trouble, but this looks bigger to me. And one of the other reasons why is, remember, if you're in a downtrend, you make lower lows and lower highs. To go into an uptrend, you have to take out those previous highs. So that's here. This high here reverses the daily uptrend if we can go beyond it. A good look here in Ripple Bitcoin might be, you know, an inverted head and shoulders pattern, if we can stomach it with an ABC. So if we did something like that and look for similar scale, that would be a very bullish pattern. So there are a couple of ways I would look for that level, or I would like here. Here's a big Maribosu thrust candle, and 50% back of that candle is usually very good support and resistance. That's at 2089, so I'm going to mark that. 2089. Take these fibs off. Let's go down to the 4-hour and say, you know, if we did an equal measured move here, it looks like we've done ABC down, ABC up. Now we're in the final leg. Where would that bring us out if we did it equal here against Bitcoin? A little bit lower, so 2082. So that then becomes like my buy zone that I'd be looking for in Ripple. A little bit lower than where we are now. 2080, below 2082 we're probably wrong, but 2090 around there. So on the 4-hour. So yeah, another little swing lower, and then see if we can find some support and have a go and make a pretty good inverted head and shoulders pattern for Ripple. So that's that one. I am not necessarily hating on that one. Let's take a look at Monero or XML. No, Lumens. Hold on. I think I might have written it wrong. Instead of XML, I meant to write XLM, which is Stellar Lumens. Did I? I can't remember. Hold on 1 second. Let me check what the request was. Yeah, I think it was Lumens. Okay, so here's Stellar Lumen against Bitcoin. What a week, a lovely week last week. It blew us out of this wedge consolidation, this sideways range. Normally when you have that, you then get really nervous that you were just going to make a big ABC correction and get stuck. Instead, we went to the 1272. We went a little bit beyond that. It's not necessarily means we're out of trouble, but if we keep going to this 1.618, then there's a very good chance that this was a wave 1, 2, and wave 3. It's very common for wave 3s to be 1.618 of the length of wave 1. That 1.618 or 2.618. So I've measured it from here to here. I've projected it from here. And so I have a feeling that we're going to find support either here around 975 or 50% back of this big thrust candle again. And I would measure that. Remember, this is our weekly pullback level. Would be 883 for Lehman. And I'm looking for us to continue hard to 1220. The other thing we could say normally as well is 38.2 or 50%. That would be 50%. 880 would be 50% from there. Yeah, between 880 and 900, I think, is our kind of ideal place to look for support on a pullback. So a little bit lower than where we are again in this one, back to these previous lows would be a good look. So back towards 900 or 880 in Lumen Bitcoin, and then I think we should be in good shape to turn up again. Next upside target would be 1220 up here. So the trend continues. At the moment though, in a pullback, obviously. This is a bearish reversal pattern, and this is where I think we'll find support for XLM. Let's see what we've got here. Let's just measure it this way. So going to 1220. I wonder if that's it, and that's a bit of an irregular one. Yeah, you know, we might be finding support quite soon. I would keep an eye on this one. Somewhere around here, I think that we'll find support in this previous low, and look for XLM to turn up higher again from here. So I apologize for the typo. So instead of XML, I should have put XMR. We're going to look at Monero, because Monero is in a lovely position to rally. This is a weekly chart of Monero. We closed last week above the weekly 50 moving average. When you do that, you look for it to become support and you carry on higher again. So far, we're not doing very much today. It's been a very quiet day, but a little bit lower. The weekly is 72.83. Oh look, here's the daily 200 moving average, and also if we go left, a bit of a support and resistance level. So this, on a pullback, if we're going to continue to trend higher in Monero, is where we should look for support to hold. Not much lower. 7,300, 72.80, something like that. And this a back test of this 200 moving average. So another good way to say when you're wrong, right? So you say, okay, well, we're looking for it. I'm holding on. We're looking, it's broken out. I'm looking for it to find support. If I put my fibs on from this high to low, I always say that the 200, the 23.6 is my fib, is my touchstone, my fib trend support and resistance, and that's here as well, 72.55. So if we close below 72.55 and I do it from the lows, then we're in a bigger correction. Octavian says you're beginning to lose faith in it. I know, it's been very tricky. Look, if we go back to the weekly and we look really for a year, this has been a very choppy bottom after a very long-term downtrend, hasn't it? You know, every time you think, oh, this time, look at how this weekly, but I would say have a bit of faith, because look how this weekly 50 moving average has been resistance. If we can get above this, we should really fly and turn things around. Worst case, imagine this ABC is our A leg, this ABC is our B leg, maybe a regular, and we're looking for a C leg. then we should, worst case, we'll get 61.8 of this first one, I think. So that would be back to this high at 83.24. So as long as you're nimble and move your stop up, it shouldn't be a loser. Everything is falling now. Everything is, yeah, in a correction. The difference is the ones that we're looking at, the good ones, are ones that are making corrections in an uptrend. Because what we're looking at tonight is where to mark your chart, where they might find support, and if they do, where you'd want to watch for it to turn up again if you want to jump in. And where it's going to be, where you're going to be wrong. You know, if we get back underneath these levels, you don't want to be holding Monero at all. We could do a big retest of these lows. We keep coming back down to them. So, you know, it's important to manage your risk and know where it's not a good time to hodl anymore as well. Okay, ICX. So ICX was one this morning that I was looking at, and exactly the same thing, because I'd been long ICX last week, okay, and I had got out of this ABC fail level because it looked a bit dodgy over the weekend, and now we'd broken out today. I wanted to see if this breakout level would be holding on a retest, because otherwise it's a fail breakout, and it looks like being back underneath it, it hasn't. In fact, if I go back to the daily, you can see that we actually won't be closing above this level. So this is just one of those. And that's annoying because in ICX Bitcoin, this now makes this an equal measured move. So that means that this swing from this swing from this low to high and this swing from this low to high are equal. And that's usually the sign of a correction. So now I'm going to be putting so if I was long term, say I'd been buying this for a while, accumulating it, I bought it here where we got above the moving averages, or I first bought it here when we broke out like this, above this trend line and the moving averages. Well, if this is just if this is just a pullback in an uptrend and it's not a reversal, then let me put this swing back on. Then here, these highs here, and 39.33, we should not go back below 39.33. That's where we're going to be bears on a close. We should not close back below 39.33 ICX Bitcoin, and so that's how I'm going to look at that. So underneath there, doesn't matter what it does, we're not going to buy it because it's going to do a bigger correction, and I think we'll come all the way back down to this 200 moving average. In between there, so we've got that 39.33 level, and where's this 236 here? 4228. So we can say if we lose 4228, which was yesterday's low, then we're going to drop down to 39.36. We're going to look for it to find support there, and if it doesn't, it's game over and we're going to do a much bigger drop. So important, 39.36. So obviously I didn't buy any, didn't get the signal that I wanted. This was the level that I was looking at that to see if it would hold. So very frustrating. False breakout day happens very often on a Monday. You know, sometimes I think I shouldn't do this live on a Monday. Because sometimes it's the setup day, and it's so often the truth that the high on the Monday will be the high or the low for the week, or the low on a Monday will be the high or the low for the week. Especially you'll see that in Asian trading, you know, when you start Monday morning and stocks are at new all-time highs, it's like, whoa, you know, they say that bear markets tend to rally early in the day and early in the week, and obviously bullish markets, you kind of want to see the opposite. Okay, next one we're going to look at OMG. Now, this was another one. I feel like this has completed a nice correction in OMG, and I'm all ready for this one to go up again. This is a daily chart, had a lovely strong rally, ABC. It looks like if we look under the hood, if you look under on the 4 hour, You can see what I mean here. Look, nice ABC, ready to go, I thought. So now, instead it's taking its time making a base. And I have to say, if I measure these things, I thought this is a bit of funky, irregular one, okay? Yeah. And I thought that we tagged a level, so all good. But remember how we just draw that 61.8 level? We're only going to be bullish if we get back above this level. So here, we've got this continuation head and shoulders pattern at our confirmation level, and we can't get above it. That's the problem. Here. So 17.18. And here we are, keep getting stuck. I know we have little spikes above it, but we really need a daily close above that level. I'm doing the wrong button here. A daily close above that level to be bullish, 17.18. So I feel like we're building a good base, but it's not a good enough. It's not a good enough level to get above. So more sideways consolidation. But if you like OMG, put an alarm, 17.18, and actually I always want to do it on a lower time frame. I don't want to do it on a daily because sometimes you get the alerts quite late. I would even put it on a 15-minute, and then you get when it taps it in that 15-minute. So there, I'm going to put my alert up there, and if it decides to fly, I'm going to make it longer. I'll get my alert, okay? So OMG, we're going to be bullish above 17.18. Otherwise, it's just consolidation. Hopefully, we're making a base. But, you know, we could retest the low and make a double bottom. So be a bit careful about managing your risk. Power ledger is the next one we're going to look at. And okay, I must have closed the page by accident. That's a bit annoying. Here we go. Octavian, yeah, in a bull market you do. I've noticed, you know, as well, with institutional money, more and more institutional money coming into crypto and futures and so on, that the weekends have got quieter, haven't they? It used to be you could trade at weekends and actually kind of make some money. Now you kind of need to find a really you need to find a really interesting altcoin, otherwise you're a bit stuck. You know, I feel like this is a big sideways range here in Power Ledger. Let's take the lows of this first bounce, because that's really, we'll bring it in more conservatively. Or even the closes. We've got this horrible sideways range going on. And when you are in a sideways range like this, you look to bounce and buy off the bottom, and you look to sell at the top. And here we are in the middle. I can't say this enough. Don't diddle in the middle, because honestly, it's a coin flip which way this one goes next. I don't know. I feel like we rallied into it. So this is A, B, C, D. And so most likely if this is a wedge E and then up, that would be my best, most educated bet. So would I want to buy it here? No, I would want to buy it at the lows, not in the, and I'd be selling, most people will be selling here. And if the lows don't hold or you don't get a nice big green buy signal, I'd wait and retest these lows down here. So neutral Power Ledger, I'm afraid. And gun against my head, I think that we retest sort of 910, 915, look for support there before we rally again. Next one we're going to look at is Tezos, XTZ. I nearly put Tezos in tonight. I'm going to take this away. So we just talked about don't diddle in the middle of a big wedge, and I feel like here we are in the middle of a big wedge consolidation. Now this looks like Tezos Bitcoin, this looks like a big ABC up, doesn't it? In which case we would want an ABC down, and then we'll go up again for the C leg. So we'd be going A, B, C to new highs, hopefully. So potentially this is quite bullish if this has done you know, kind of what you want to see, and kind of has. But until we break out of this wedge to the upside, no guarantee. Again, in fact, we could do this, come up here, false breakout, and do an E-leg before we get going again. So this is one of those instances where you really want to see it break out before you get going. If I measure from the lows to the highs, this level that we keep bouncing at in the middle, that comes back to this peak high here, is also the 50%. So this is like the midpoint of the whole trading range for Tezos that it's been in. And so it's staying in the top half, and 50%, it's not a fib level, but it's one of those things that you tend to see in corrections. So this all says this is one big fat correction, this 50% thing. And if I take that away and take a look at from this high to this low here, that's nearly there. Okay, or even if I put it from here, where did we stop today? The 50% from this high to low. We didn't reach the 61.8. And so, you know, consolidation, this is a nasty reversal. Everything else is. I have a feeling, like I like how that we are in a new upswing. So I'd be looking very carefully for pullback long entries. It's just how far could it go? Well, I'm going to say more just because it's broken my 236 fib rule here at 31.83. And so given that this is liking the 50% thing so much, the next place we're going to look for support in Tezos Bitcoin is 29.35, which would be 50% back. And so if we're going to keep going up and not come all the way back to the bottom, 29.35 would be where I would be looking on this pullback. And let's see what happens there. So a bit further to fall in this one. Not necessarily, you know, and trust me, you need to watch what happens here. There's no guarantee that this level will hold. It could come back to these lows and the 61.8. It could, you know, yeah. You just have a really good reason. Again, the best thing is not to diddle in the middle. If you really like Tezos, wait for it to turn up and buy a pullback. You know, let somebody else do the hard work to turn it around. Okay, and Link. Link has been a little bit of joy, hasn't it, for the people that didn't get any Doge. Okay, so I missed Doge. Yeah. Now, this is Link Bitcoin, a weekly chart. Okay, I have been drawing fib levels on this, mainly because they kind of all work sometimes when you draw them right and you wait. What I'm looking for is confluence where everything lines up together. So I look at the big swings, so you put them on from high to low, okay, in a downtrend, and you're looking for where everything lines up together. And I feel like this is a big level for us based on this first swing, and that we are potentially going to look at a correction here. Now, if we look at what we've done previously, you know, when you have these big thrust candles, it doesn't always work here. We tried to hold 50% back of this big thrust candle. This big thrust candle here worked. This one here, 50% was messy, wasn't it? But if I would say in terms of daily candlesticks, the first place I'm going to look for support is 50% back of this big weekly move that we had. And I would be, if we think that, you know, even in a bearish trend, you very often end with 5 waves. And this is not a bearish trend. So we'd be looking for 5 waves to finish here. So if this is 1, 2, 3, then we would also be looking for the most common correction from a wave 3 like this would be 38.2. So if I put this on and mark where that 38.2 is, sometimes it's the 50%, sometimes it's the 38.2. 38.2 is here at 73.99, and this is the 50% just underneath. So we'll say, right, if we're going to be bearish if we pull back more than 50% of this big rally, because we really shouldn't if we're going to stay in an uptrend, and potentially we do a little shallow pullback. any more than this and we're in a much bigger correction in link. But this is the level we need to hold above. So that's where we go if we break this level. What if we just hold this level? Like, this is a bearish candle, so it's not looking terribly sharp, is it? But if we hold this previous level and we turn and rally from here, then maybe we're out of the woods. I don't know. I'm not feeling it, I have to say. Yeah, there we go. So 1, 2, 5, 2, yeah. So I think we've got a little bit further to fall, although we might just go sideways before link goes up again. If I go back to the weekly, as long as we can hold and stay above this 76,188, which we closed the week above, my next upside target is up here at 122,600. So lovely and bullish, but more than 50% of this last week's move back, and I think we're in a much bigger correction scenario that would last, 3 or 4 weeks. So that's what we would be looking for. Yeah, let's hope not, eh? But you never know. If everything is coming off, then let's go quickly back. And it's nothing too dramatic here in Bitcoin, is it? It's just the same sideways range. It's just today's a down day. Okay, link Manetha. Let's go take a look at Manetha, because Manetha is quite had high hopes. Let's see. Here's Manetha. I believe the Manetha is a head and shoulders pattern. I've drawn it like this. Here's our neckline. The problem is we haven't managed to break out at our neckline, and we're a little bit stuck here, aren't we? So our neckline comes all the way from this support level. It's around 97 or 100, really, 100. Sorry, friendly fire. It's so funny. I've known Strat years, and he and I learnt the same. He and I learnt the same moving average thing together at the same time. He kind of made it his own with his Strat shadows and fake false hammers and but no, I would say, but I understand his teaching. I think the moving average strategies are by far the most profitable strategies in any market, and adapt very well onto lower time frame and for more volatile trading if you kind of use some other tools to tell you when things are reversing. That's the thing with the moving average strategy is you're always in a little bit late, and you're always a little bit late to get out. So if you can refine that, I think that they work very well. So I'm not using his exact strategy, no. Okay. Manetha at the moment is a smidge back underneath this 200-day moving average, which is also a little bit disappointing. We've got a few hours till we close. We may still close back above this 200 moving average, in which case this would just be an inside day and a little bit of a pullback. If we keep, say, Heikin-Ashi on, we're still green, and I'm kind of a big fan of Heikin-Ashi for alerting you to reversals. But again, they're a little bit late, and on the 4-hour, we're looking a little bit in trouble here. Strat doesn't use the Fibonacci, and the way I do. Let's put it that way. So Manetha, yeah, at this point, it's really important what happens at this 200 moving average, and I'm going to say that what I was hoping with this was the correction complete in a new upswing, because it would kind of make a balanced head and shoulders pattern here. But if I take that away and we look at this objectively, it kind of looks like an A leg, and then we've made a B leg, and we maybe need a C leg. And if these two swings higher are equal, it's going to add a bit of weight to that as well, that they are just corrective, equal measured moves. So high, Hello, like this. Let's see what this. They're not quite equal, are they? But it's got that feel about it. So clearly, if this channel that we're in breaks down, then we probably have seen an ABC correction. For now, it's like everything else, just a pullback, and we hope that it doesn't turn into something more. Okay, not for me, Manetha. At this point, I'd really like to see Manetha above 100, because then we've got away from all of that trouble, this support and resistance level, this previous highs above the 200 moving average, and and then we can really look. Our first 236 fib from the all-time is back at these highs here at 314. So if we can clear this resistance, we've got fantastic targets in Manetha. So I think it's worth staying out until we get above that 100, and then we're looking for 300. So got lots of good risk reward in that. But for me, yeah, below 100 it's not enticing. AGI is another one that very similar pattern, singularity. I was looking to make the move here. Let's take a look at this on the weekly, because really we're in a bit of a similar position to Manetha in that we're underneath these previous lows. They're acting as our resistance from this last swing lower. It's also the 38.2 fib level. It's at 223, and here look, there's this weekly 50 moving average overhead us as well. So unless we can break 223 and hold above 223, I'm afraid we're still in a downtrend in this one as well, and it's a bit of a troublesome. It's a very enticing look, isn't it, to this rounded inverted head and shoulders bottom. It's very tempting because we've spent, gosh, 5-6 days holding above the 200 moving average. We look all ready to launch. In fact, I thought we would, but we can't get, unless we can close and hold above 223. There's our fib level, previous low. We're not going, unfortunately. Look, support, 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 resistance, resistance, support. So this is going to be key. Below 223. Now, above 223, we're going to fly. So this is another one where put your alert on. I'm going to move it a little bit higher. I'm going to put my alert on this trend line, because if singularity gets above it, it should fly. AGN is next. Origin, I think I may have, here we go. Got it here, Origin Protocol. I'm going to take all these extra fibs away for a second. Okay, because from this high to this low, we did that golden ratio thing where we stopped at the 61.8, and the 236 fib down here is support. When you bounce in a golden ratio and you reverse and you lose the 50, you're pretty much guaranteed to go back to the 38.2, and sometimes all the way to the 236 fib. So this was our 38.2. And that's where we came back to. This has now become a little bit of resistance. Unfortunately, I feel like, yeah, this is not an uptrend. These are flat moving averages. This is still consolidation. And it may be that this is an A leg, a B leg, and we have not finished. What I would want to see, to get excited about this one now, is I would like to see a double bottom. Like to see this retest of the daily 50 moving average hold, something like that. Something that's more convincing as a bottom, because this is not quite doing it for me yet. So the retest, I think, of 28.44, that's going to be, that's going to be the tell. So, or a retest of these lows, because we've really just gone sideways, unfortunately. Let's see, did that AGI really go? No, it did not. Okay. Everything looks very double toppy at resistance. Even, when this is what I mean about build a bottom or see a top. So if I had been long ontology, I had this big fib level here, double top. This says it stopped going up. For me, I would de-risk, as I would take some off. This is just an hourly chart. And now then if we break the lows here of this site, then we have not just got a double top, but we've got a bigger reversal, and then we'll go, you know, much lower. So the same thing is when you're wanting to look and buy it back, you're going to look for the opposite. You're going to look for it to find support at a level, bounce maybe, and then when it double top, then you know you've got a good level, you know. So you look for the opposite when you're looking to buy as well. Oh dear, it's going to be one of those everything goes down days. So OGN, we've done WTC. Let's take a look at WTC. Here's Walton. Yay! Now, this again, when you first look at Walton, you go, oh, it's making a lovely base. Isn't everything great? Is this a head and shoulders pattern? Let's bring it down to these lows and highs and this pivot level here, really double bottom here and across. And so, oh, this is a head and shoulders breakout. We could kid ourselves, couldn't we? Sorry about my puppy. I put him in a crate for this. Now, what if I would say that there was one place that head and shoulders patterns always fail? They fail if they are not really a head and shoulders pattern, but an ABC correction. So if this is an ABC correction, I'm going to measure from this low to this high, like this. Look, it's unfortunately to the tick. So now, if we are going to stay bullish and long Walton, we do not want this back below this 61.8 level here on a back test, and that's at 455. So a daily close below 455 is a bearish reversal for Walton, and as long as we stay above it, we're looking for it to find support and carry on and break that bearish symmetry. I'm just going to put the fibs back on because to be bullish, we'd like to see this 1.618, if not 2.618, and then that would make a lovely big wave 3. So 455, if we can hold it and turn up higher again, and we break above 528, the uptrend continues. So very important support at 455. That's what we're looking for. And that's also, of course, our back test of our neckline. So then we'll find out if this is a head and shoulders pattern or an ABC correction or not. So that's what I'm looking for in Walton. Walton has a lot of potential if this is, obviously, because your target is always twice in a head and shoulders pattern. Your target is always twice from the head to the neckline, so that puts us up here, and it would look very good. So let's see. ENJ, this is another, let me find this one. Have I missed out H-bar? I hope not. I think I forgot to write it down. Okay, maybe. I can't remember if someone asked for it or not. Okay, engine coin. This is a nice looking chart here. Now let's start with the weekly for engine coin. See where we are. You can see that we've had a nice little pullback in an uptrend so far. I'm not actually convinced that these fibs are working terribly well. So I'm going to take them off for a minute. We're just going to look at where we are with this weekly uptrend. So we're missing some moving averages. So you can see bullish cross of our weekly moving averages. We should find support from them and continue higher when we pull back to them. So looking really good in that instance. In terms of our daily moving averages, we're looking really good as well. And in terms of a pullback, we look like we're making another one of those maybe inverted head and shoulders patterns with a neckline at 1995. I like this as well because if this was our first leg of correction, lower here like this, then this is also, you know, around about one of those ABC corrections as well. A great place to turn higher from. So engine Bitcoin, let's take this away for a second. Oops. I've got this level drawn like this, but actually, let me put this on. So I've got these level at these highs, but actually the 38.2 fib level here is what we have not been able to close above. So if we look at what we did here when we rallied to the 236 fib, we looked above it, but we couldn't close above it. And then this 236 fib level became support here and here. Now this 38.2 fib level, we keep looking above it, but we can't close above it. If we can close above it, then the next leg higher goes up and so on, 50% and so on, and we'll climb our way up through the levels. What I would like to see, because I think we've spent too long now going sideways in this one, so I'd actually like to see this, you know, start to move with some impulse, because if it doesn't, I'm afraid it's again not going to be the head and shoulders pattern that we want to be. And in fact, what we will have done is just another ABC correction here, and then we've gone ABC back and so on, you know, and then we'll just, so yeah. So 1995, then we would be above all of the daily and the weekly moving averages and looking for a decent move and next leg higher, hopefully. Let's go back and look at the fibs that don't work. It's so annoying that the fibs that don't work. If we break higher, so our first level is going to be, look, this pivot level, this high and low here where we got stuck before, around 2,600, isn't it? And then I think we'll just use horizontal levels, because I'm going to say that this has got to be a no-brainer. Maybe not. Let's put them on the other way, because we didn't make any. Yeah, you know, this is 50% of this whole swing, is this previous high. I'm thinking that that's going to be around at 3,442. It's going to be an important level, just because of that 50% thing. In fact, if I do 50% this way as well, that's where also that level comes in. So 3450 would be like a, and this previous spike high, that's starting to look like a really obvious target for engine, if we can break higher. Tough, isn't it? Looking better than quite a lot of the others today, but still off the highs as well in engine. Okay, BNB. Now BNB's been quite exciting, a bit more exciting anyway, lately. Binance coin, you know, Binance, it feels like a bit, Binance feels like a bit like, you know, that for a while it felt like Binance was a bit like the Amazon of crypto, doesn't it? Wasn't it? Pretty much you could buy most things, and so, which is pretty good for Binance coin, but not that great. Let's see where we are now. I'm going to start on a monthly with regular candles, because I put my fibs on these all-time lows to highs, and I wasn't sure if I was working, but if they were working. But these 61.8, 50% and 38.2 sure were. So if this was a false breakdown, we've recovered the level now and we are looking higher from here. The issue is this weekly 20 moving average and this previous high. So let's mark where that is. This previous high and this weekly 20 moving average are therefore our resistance, monthly moving average, sorry, our resistance. Here on the daily, of course, it's a 200 moving average and we're stuck at. Very common turning point, and certainly in BNB it's been support and major resistance before, so we need to pay attention to it. If we can't close above it and power higher, we could see quite a decent pullback here, and there's of course this major support and resistance level, so that's where we're likely to come back to and retest if we can't get above this 200 moving average, 18,484. So in BNB Bitcoin, very important that we power higher above this 200 moving average. Is another way we could look at this being why this is resistance, and we could, sorry, my charts have gone slow. this is a breakout at the moment of this, potentially this channel. It's not really a bit of a channel. Actually, I don't think I like that, so I'm going to leave it. Yeah, 200 moving average is it. Let's see if it lines up with a fib level or if we've got support from a fib level. Sometimes that can make the difference. No, we've got resistance from a fib level. So where is our fib support here back at that 236? Hopefully, lower than where we are now. 18916 then. So 18916 may be support, otherwise back to 18484 after this knockback at 38.2 fib and the 200-day moving average that we can't seem to close above. It's Octavian says, when there's nothing to trade, yeah, it's natural. It is natural, yeah. Very good support then at 18484. I'm going to say this is not really a downtrend. This is sideways at the moment, and we're trying to see if we can turn it into one. I would argue that this double bottom and moving it above this pivot level in the middle means that this is support, and we haven't reached our but we may have reached the double bottom target. The double bottom target is from here to here. So now let's just do it like this. I don't know why my charts won't move. It's so bloody frustrating. Here we go. Yeah, we hit our double bottom target, so there's also some profit taking going on. So let's wait for the support then at 18484 and see what happens there in BNB. Haven. How many days have we got? We've got 1 week to the main net task. Let's see where we are in Haven. Oops, wrong one. Doesn't that little Everex look good? Okay, here's Haven. I'm going to start with the daily chart of Haven, because I did all the fib projections on this one as well, including the little pullbacks in the uptrend, and using each of these swings, and I look for where everything all lines up together, and that usually gives you the areas of confluence which are support and resistance. So we know that here at this level here at 30,000 is our resistance. We dipped down to the ideal support, everything looks good, but unless we can break above this resistance and make a new high, it's a worry that this leg was our first leg of correction. So we've gone A, B, C in a bit of a funky, irregular correction. Now, so far so good. We haven't broken down, but this resistance level is really key. When we do break above it, which we could easily do, then our next upside target is 48,000, between 46,000 and 48,000. That's the kind of confluence of zone. And if you look at what this last one did, you know, you would be protecting your profit when we get up there and watching what we do. If I look at this low, I'm going to take these away now. We don't need them anymore. We don't need this. I'm still like, I'm watching how we close tonight. I'm still long at the moment, and the reason is, as you know, I look at the 236 fib as my kind of trend guide. So I've drawn it from this low to this high. Have I got the high? Yeah. And unless I see a 4-hour close or a daily close underneath this 236 fib level, I'm not going to panic too much. This is just a pullback. If we do close underneath it, then we're in a bigger correction. Okay, and then I'm going to say this high. So this would mean that this is our A leg, our B leg, and here's our C leg, and then the support comes in all the way back here, unfortunately, yikes, at 2250, which is where this leg would be 0.618 of this first leg, and the second support level comes back here. Now if we did that, what we were doing, we'd be just being sideways, we'd be just doing sideways consolidation, wouldn't we, waiting for the main launch. And if that happens, you know, buy the tops and buy the bottoms and sell the highs and wait for it to break out. I have to say though, at the moment, it looks like we found buyers here. We're holding our hourly moving averages. I'm not terribly worried yet. So daily close though, below 27,000 might point to a bigger pullback, that's all. So didn't think we'd get through this level first time. If we look at it in terms of daily candlesticks, what are the candlesticks telling us? So let's tidy this up again as well. So remember, when you have a big thrust candle like this one was, with very little shadow top and bottom, then 50% of that candle is often support and resistance. So here in the middle, this is, you know, where we're sitting at that 50%. Well, yeah, do you know, our Bush, I'm the same as you. I've got a core position that I won't sell because I'm going to wait and see how it plays out. But I also have some that I'm in and out of just because it optimizes it, I think. So it's quite a thin coin, I agree. And so sometimes, you know, you don't want to get out because it's hard to get back in, isn't it? If everybody wants in at the same time, you have to buy it when nobody else wants it and sell it when everybody wants it. But that's, you know, that's thin coins. So at the moment, in terms of daily candlesticks and Fibonacci, this is not a bearish reversal yet, but it could turn into a bigger correction that would bring us back and retest this 20 moving average before we go up again. So I'm being patient for now. Clearly, a break above 30,000 is a breakout, and then we would be looking for 48,000 next. Okay, band is next, BA and D, and then I'll try and apologise if I'm a bit flat. I'm really not feeling my very best this week, I have to say. There's a bug going around. So yeah, have faith, look, Haven, look. This is one of those ones where very nice ABC correction, just like we've made in Haven, and we have in fact pushed to new highs. We've pushed above this opening high, which is always a little bit, everyone looks at it and says, oh, that's a bit skoshy using that as a level, and we've pushed above these previous highs here. Big fat target for me in band is now, again, where I'm looking for confluence. So I'm projecting from here and here and here and here, and they all line up for me at 28,868. So 28,868. So this was a nice ABC correction and new highs. If we go beyond 28,868, the next upside level is 36,000. I like green tea. I like green tea, and I like oolong as well. So where are we going to be bearish back below? For me, I think that this previous fib level here, as long as we stay in band, and I realize this is quite far back, but if we see a bigger correction across the board in crypto, this may be where we come back to 20,600. Let's hope not. In fact, let's hope some. It's just very often these previous highs don't hold as support. They'll try and trick people by coming back underneath them. So I'm going to say I'm a bear here underneath 20,800. And if you haven't already got some band, buy pullbacks. So that level's holding quite nicely at the moment if we look at the hourly, isn't it? So we are doing quite nicely in terms of sideways consolidation above the previous highs. So yeah, I like band. I'm looking for 28,800 next, but we might dip a little bit lower first. NXS, somebody on Twitter alerted me to this one. Look at this lovely chart. Now, NXS, I draw my fibs from the high in December 2019, this spike high here, to this low. I like it. I think it's validated because with this reaction that we got here in the beginning of June at the 236 fib level. So clearly this 236 fib level is a very important, if we look left, support and resistance level, and that's the level that we need to get above. We could argue about whether this is a head and shoulders, cup and handle, or whatever. It's resistance. 23.49, not any of that. But when you make this kind of long term, take ages building it, then you will normally go twice as this. So our target if we break above it, is this 50% level at 31.83. So if we can close above 23.49 in NXS, I love it. I like 31.83 next, and then hopefully these previous highs and so on. But we'll go step by step. This is a good looking bottoming pattern. If we look at what we're doing here at the moment, obviously we just tagged it today and we're off again. So I'm going to do the same thing. This swing low to here. This 236 fib level should be support. If it's not, we're in for a bigger correction. Here we are right on it now. This is kind of the level where we'd be like to see this bounce. If we don't, you know, we could be looking all the way back down here to 2162 before we get the energy up to have another chart. Yeah, I know, banned. So you need a pullback now, or you need this level to hold here. It doesn't look like it might, but you never know. I'm not going to judge now at this point also, because we are right up against resistance. The conservative trade would be, let's put it on a 15-minute. So we're going to watch this level. So if this consolidation breaks to the upside, say, from here, this is our ideal support, isn't it? What if we do this and then we break out? Then you want to see it get above, make a new high, and then you're going to buy the first pullback. That would be the conservative look to buy NXS at this point. Okay. All right, let's take a look at I know somebody asked for some. Yash Jack asked me, there are adverts floating around on YouTube asking people to send Bitcoin or ETH, sponsored by Vitalik or Jack Dorsey, which are super fake, but they look genuine. Listen, they are never going to ask you to send you. Please don't ever. I don't care how genuine there is no such thing as an offer where you send them Bitcoin and they send you more back. Every single one is a scam. Just don't do it. And I know how convincing they can look, but they're not. They're all scams. Please be very careful. Okay, thank you, Yash. Captain Crypto would like to look at Mithril. Let's see if I've got a chart for Myth. Don't think I have. I might have to see. Let's see where we are. Mithril. Ooh, this looks nice. I love this. Look at this. What a great place for Mithril. Look at this horizontal support and resistance level here. So much love this chart. This is a back test of a head. So this is a head and shoulders pattern that's broken out, and we are back testing the neckline and have found support. And not only that, but we have the 200 moving average to support us here as well. So we've got a nice little 3-day wedge that we're looking for a break to the upside of. Hooray. Hasn't quite broken out yet, has it? How frustrating. Now, see where we got stuck? And this happens so often the first time you try it. 50%. And it always says correction. So from this little correction, high to low, this 50% is where we got stuck. And very often you do that, and then you'll make a smaller pattern, or whatever. But that's going to be the level to beat, 79. Looking good. Mithril. Now where are we going to go from here? So I tend to, it's very easy to find random, isn't it? But I tend to try and put fib first on. The first kind of obvious 5 waves down. So 1, 2, 3, that looks like it to me. And I look for the 236 fib to get validated. And if we look at this looks really good, because the 236 fib here was support and resistance, 38.2 is now support. This 50% is where we stuck, and so on. And so we can go up, and we'll say, like, as long as we, through the levels this way. So as long as this 50% holds at 70, we carry on higher from here in Mithril. So I do it like that initially, and then I take the first bigger swing after that. So if I looked at this, I would say that's a clearly obvious bigger swing. And so I'd pay attention to this level, because it may be that some people are looking at this and they would sell at that first 236 fib level. So if it all fails, that would be might be a failure level that I'd be looking at, and then so on. But yeah, Captain Crypto, thank you very much for this lovely chart. Looks amazing. Next one. Well done, good eye. And Raven. Hello, RHB 3001. Let's look at Raven. And then I'm going to say goodnight, I think. Felipe, I'm doing Raven now. Raven coin. Now, let's start on the weekly chart of Raven coin, because it's always good to see where we are in the big picture of things. Because we could say, well, this is making a base and it's sideways consolidation. We could say that this is a nasty little bear flag and a downtrend. One of the things, though, that's making me a little bit optimistic here is how we're finally, you know, we're above this weekly 20 moving average. Now, let's bring this down to this spike low. This is quite hard, isn't it? Because really, in terms of the range, this most recent drop, this is the range that we've been stuck in. And we need to do a bit of work to start getting our way out of it. And these previous lows and highs, they're all going to be a little bit of a resistance zone. We're going to have a little bit of trouble until we get above them. And then we can start laughing again and find support from them. For now, every time we bounce back, there's these lows here and this double bottom level here have been resistance. So that was where we banged our head last when we tried today. So let's take my funky things away. This is a bit of a tough resistance, isn't it? Not only is it that previous swing low, but it's the 200 moving average. So we really do need to get above this. Not only that, but we could. This could be a little bit argued a bit of an ABC correction as well, you know. We don't really want that. So how far are we going to let it come back before we say back to the bottom of the range? I'm going to go from this low, say this 236 fib. Let's look at this and see if we're hanging on. I think we are hanging on. Just, gosh. It's a bit messy, isn't it? The problem is we did it in one move, which too fast, really. Aren't the birds noisy? And it's dark outside. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to say that this Raven rally may be an ABC come back beneath this 61.8 level. So this is our bull bear line here at 231. So if you didn't get any Raven and you're thinking, where can I let it come back to buy it? If it goes below 231, you don't want to buy it. Yeah, party over. So 231 is where we'd like to see the support hold. And if we put fibs on, then we might hold support ahead of there, but around here, but it's a bit messy, isn't it? Yeah, I would say stay bullish above 231 and look for this to have another go, but be in no doubt this is major resistance. So buy pullbacks, or, you know, the more conservative thing would be let it get above this horrible resistance zone and buy back pullbacks into it. But yeah, does it look great after this big move today? It does look great. Let's hope it gets enough interest to push it higher. Okay, Well, not a very exciting day, is it? Summer trading sucks, you know. Summer trading sucks in all markets. And it used to be that crypto was better than FX, but at the moment, these sideways ranges are very trying. And it's very easy to get sucked into thinking, oh, this is it, the bottom's going to fall out, we're going to hell, you know, and don't. Octavian, MCO, I'll take a look at MCO for you before I go. So don't, unless we break out to the ups, don't get too bullish, don't get too bearish. Not much is trending. MCO, I haven't looked at that one for a while. Okay, don't really think these fib levels worked very well, did they? Maybe. A little bit messy anyway. So normally, yeah, I did this most recent swing lower here. If you stop it at 61.8, your target is back to the 38.2, which we reached and tried to rally from here, and then drop down where this 236 fib. These weekly moving averages are not very inspiring, I have to say, and I can't see anything in this price action that makes me go, oh, I want to buy MCO rather than Bitcoin yet. This candle, this weekly candle 2 weeks ago, that very often becomes a bullish candle. I would say if we can break above this level, maybe it would turn into something, but for now we're retesting the lows, and yeah, just, you know, it's sideways consolidation in a downtrend for me. The last 6 days we've been holding underneath this 46.13 level. Look, we can see it like this, just connect that high and these highs. So I think short term we'd be having another go if we got above that, but today that high was resistance. So yeah, above 46.13 I think we'll have another try at an upswing, but for me, yeah, I would leave this one alone until it does something more impressive. It tells me it's ready to stop going down. It hasn't actually said I've stopped going down yet, and that's what I really want to see. I don't really see. It's, you know, it's easy, isn't it? You read fundamentals. You'll read something about you'll read the fundamentals about an asset, and you'll think, yeah, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then you'll go look at the chart, and you're like, does nobody else get it? And you really need everybody else with some money to realize what a good project it is as well. And this chart says nobody's noticed it yet, so unfortunately, it either has to get a little bit cheaper or a little bit more well known. All right then, good night.